second half of last week's game because there were several 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 9s, 3rd and 13s. Like they kept putting Jalen Hurts in that situation, and he couldn't dig himself out of it.
And those are hard to convert for any team, even if you're maybe not the most stellar of defenses. It's still hard to convert when you get into those 3rd and longs against anybody.
Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. The Niners and the Seahawks coming your way from Lumen Field in Seattle for divisional round play. Yeah, I don't know. They got that big. Do they tape that off? Do they put rope around the logo so that nobody comes in like they don't want a TO moment or like a what do they think Ohio State's going to come plant a flag or something? Yeah, no, I don't know what the deal is. I don't know why they rope off the middle of the field here with that logo.
And they want Trent walking out there with a boombox and just.
They don't want TO. Yeah, they don't want anybody to TO it out there. So we'll take a quick break when we come back. Matt Maiocco, our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area, is going to join us. We'll get his thoughts on the health of the 49ers. Does he think we're going to see D. Winters in this one? Would help big time in the run game. He left that Week 18 game and did not play Wild Card Weekend against Philly. Matt Maiocco joins us next. Kickoff at 5 p.m. Niners in Seattle on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for the Niners and the Seahawks, a 5 o'clock kick tonight. Guy Haberman will be on the call with Tim Ryan, and we'll check in with Guy in the broadcast booth just a little bit later this afternoon before kickoff, and we hand it over. But first, we got to go out to our 49er insider, NBC Sports Bay Area's Matt Maiocco joins us on the UMA guest line. Matt, divisional weekend in Seattle, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, I love it. I think this is going to be a fun one. I mean, it might be low scoring, as the games have been with Seattle and the 49ers this season, but I think it's just going to be riveting football from start to finish, and a little bit surprised if the point spread is as big as it is. I would think that this is going to be one of these classic games that goes down to the wire.
I'm looking forward to this one, Matt. So, I mean, when you look at, let's talk about a couple of different elements and wrinkles here. I mean, what do you make of the Sam Darnold news? I said to JD, I don't know how big of a deal it is, but I don't think it's nothing. I don't think it's insignificant. I mean, oblique is interesting. What role does that play here?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, the oblique, if he injured it while throwing in practice on Thursday, well, guess what he's going to be doing today? He's going to be throwing a football. So I'm with you. I think it's something. I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be measurable as far as we see how he's able to throw and, torque his body to throw. But this is a guy that, I mean, his throwing ability is his number one attribute. He can throw it as well as anybody. And so if he's just a little less, a little more off his game or not as sharp as he could be, that might give the 49ers some opportunities to make plays. And in the meantime, how the 49ers want to play this thing. Are they just going to sell out to stop the run and leave some plays out there for Darnold to hit in the passing game until he proves that he can do that? I kind of doubt that that'll be the case. I don't think they want to, fall victim to any gamesmanship at this point. But I think what it does do is it really makes it imperative that the 49ers defense tackles on first and second down, try to get the Seahawks into third and longs, and try to make them as one-dimensional as possible, which is obviously a lot easier said than done. But I would think that the focus for Seattle is to run the ball, and the focus for the 49ers defense is to stop the run.
Matt, what would you say is the number one thing going back to 2 weeks ago that the 49ers have to not let happen again?
It might be that. It might be just, they had 18 missed tackles in that game in Week 18. And although it didn't necessarily show up on the scoreboard with them allowing only the 13 points, I think it did affect the 49ers offense. The 49ers missed tackles with their defense affected the 49ers offense in the sense that they weren't able to get the ball back. They weren't able to get any kind of continuity going. They weren't able to extend drives. And as a result of that, 49ers, had a lot of short drives and only 42 offensive plays. And so I think it all kind of ties together. They have to be able to get off the field, give the ball to their offense, and then the offense needs to be able to string some first downs together, because 42 offensive plays isn't going to cut it. I think what Kyle Shanahan does as well as anybody is he uses plays that are set up, or just seeing how the defense handles certain situations, and uses that information for later in the game when the game's on the line, or you have a big drive and they need to score some points. So the fewer offensive plays the 49ers run, the less information he's able to gather that could help them later in the game. So to me, that's it. It's third downs on both offense and defense. And I think on paper there's a greater disparity between these teams than what there is in real life. I think when they get together, it looks like an evenly matched game, even though that the game Saturday night, Week 18, you watch it and you think, well, Seattle's so much better, but yet they weren't able really to extend that thing and create much separation. The 49ers had a chance, if not for a deflected pass, off of, basically deflected out of Brock Purdy's hands and then off of Christian McCaffrey's hands. If the 49ers don't have that, I'm not going to call it a fluke turnover, but if they don't have that turnover inside the 5-yard line, it's a whole different ball game. They could have been down 13-10 with 10 minutes left in the game, and now all of a sudden they have momentum. Seattle struggling. 49ers could have easily won that game. So I think this one is going to be a much more competitive game, from the sense of it looked like Seattle dominated. it could, a play here and a play there could have been a lot closer, but I think this one will be a more evenly matched game.
Talking to Matt Maiocco, our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area. How much does a potential of a D. Winters return help in the run defense?
I mean, I don't know. It helps if he's tackling well. I don't think he tackled well. I don't think Tatum Bethune tackled well in Week 18. Eric Kendricks is an 11-year pro. He's a much better tackler than those two guys. So I think he has to kind of lead the way. He has to be able to secure those tackles close to the line of scrimmage on Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. And then D. Winters has to be around the ball as well. I mean, the 49ers are going to miss some tackles in this game, but the key is that a missed tackle a yard down the field cannot turn into a 19-yard run on 3rd and 17. They have to have enough guys around the ball, and that's where D. Winters comes in. That's where Eric Kendricks comes in. Those guys, might be difficult for them to make those one-on-one tackles, but if both of those guys are right there, one can slow them down and the other one can clean it up. But getting D. Winters back is a big deal. I thought Garrett Wallow played well last week, or as well as you could have expected him to play. And so, they're hoping that obviously D. Winters, with the experience he's had this season, the amount of football he's played, is an upgrade over that. And then Eric Kendricks, another gain in with, a little bit of rust that he had to knock off when he first got on the field for the 49ers. They're hoping that he can kind of carry that momentum and be a better player than he was last week as well. So I think that, by and large, the 49ers linebacker situation, even with Fred Warner out for this one, I think they're in a better situation than they were in Week 18 against Seattle.
When you look at it, it would be Kendricks and then Winters, Kendricks at the mic and then Winters at his normal spot for the most part. If Winters is able to go, and Wallow would be playing less, you would estimate in that situation.
I would think the Wallow would only play on special teams unless forced into the action. And then what they do, how much do they use their strong side linebacker? That's the linebacker that's only out there for a third of the snaps, if that. Do they go big nickel? Do they use Jason Pinnock? Where do they go with their? How much will Seattle use three wides, and that means it's going to be Upton Stout out there. So yeah, I would think that we'll see how they work this, but who is that third linebacker? Is it Luke Gifford? Is he going to be healthy? Do they roll with Curtis Robinson? But I would think that Wallow would be pretty much relegated to special teams duty in this one.
What's your sense on Ricky Pearsall for today, and how impactful can he be even if he's less than 100%?
I think he's going to play. It was interesting last week. Obviously, he did not play against the Eagles, and the 49ers decided to bump up Malik Turner from the practice squad to play sparingly at wide receiver, but also he's a good special teams player. Well, they didn't do that this week. They didn't bump up anyone who's going to suit up from the practice squad. So that's a clear indication in my mind that Ricky Pearsall is going to play in this game. And then, how he's able to perform, it might just be good. He could potentially make an impact even without touching the ball a whole lot, just by posing a deep threat with the double moves and whatever else. But, it's been kind of a week-to-week thing with Ricky Pearsall. I mean, if he bangs that right knee again, then, that's going to set him back further. But I think the hope is, and I did see him in practice this week, he looked a lot better than he did 2 weeks ago. So I think the hope is that he can get out there and, he's not 100%, but maybe whatever percentage he is enough to make a play here and there and pick up a first down and create, an opportunity for the 49ers with underneath stuff as well, hitting Jake Tonjes or Juwan Jennings or, backs out of the backfield or Bourne or Robinson. So I think Pearsall's, if he's ready to go, he's going to see a lot of action today.
Matt Maiocco, the voice you hear, our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area. Matt, enjoy the game, and we will talk to you this week, man.
All right, sounds good. Be safe there, guys.
Thanks, man.
Thanks,
The great
Matt.
Matt Maiocco there as Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for the Niners and the Seahawks coming your way at 5 o'clock divisional round play. The other divisional round game in the AFC that's going on right now, 10-10 with about a minute 42 to play in the first half. Broncos and the Bills, and the Broncos are driving right now, but the game is tied at 10 as they're right near midfield.
One of the 2 6-1 matchups today
This
in
is
the
the
NFL.
other-
One
this
in the
is the
AFC,
other
one in the NFC.
And I'm telling you, man, our football fan hell would be if we get Denver and Houston in an AFC championship. I don't need that. I don't need that or the Rams or the Seahawks playing for a title at Levi Stadium. That can be avoided today with a 49er victory coming your way at 5 o'clock. Time now for the health report. The 49ers Health Report, sponsored by your California Ford dealers. Visit buyfordnow.com to find your next truck or SUV. Well, you heard Matt Maiocco there. He's expecting Ricky Pearson to play and surmising that because they did not elevate somebody at receiver from the practice squad as they did last week with Malik Turner. So that's, I think, pretty good deductive reasoning there from Matt Maiocco. You've got D. Winters, who he believes is going to play, but says he's got to tackle better than he did week one. He mentioned that in the first half. He also did leave the first half with an injury and an ankle and didn't return after that. So he didn't play a ton, did D. Winters, in week one. No Bernardo Green in this one, right? He's going to be out still dealing with an injury. And also Fred Warner, who had his practice window open earlier this week, will play potentially next week if the Niners get through this one.
And the other big one on defense is Siegel in for Jair Brown.
That's right, Jair
as
Brown.
well.
Excuse me. I said
out.
no Bernardo Green. I meant Jair Brown,
Yeah.
who's out with the hamstring. Marquise Siegel came in for him last week. So that's who I was thinking about, was Jair Brown with the hammy. And then also Trent Williams returns to face Seattle. He was there last week, of course, but did not play against Seattle in Week 18. And I didn't think Austin Pleasance played all that bad, but how do you even compare it to one of the greatest to ever do it in Trent Williams? Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. Kickoff coming up at 5 o'clock right here. Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan will be on the call. When we come back, our guy Todd Husack, apparently he's out there grilling steaks in the Bay Area, getting ready for this one. He said he's making steaks and ribs. We'll get his thoughts on the Niners and the Seahawks. How does Kyle put this one together offensively? What did he see last week that gives him confidence the Niners can do it again on the road in Seattle? Todd Husack joins us next, only here on The Sports Leader.
I mean, I feel that's kind of our message every week. I feel like that's kind of what's gotten here. I feel like that's I was more about that. I think our advantage in the season is we play desperate every game. I feel like that's what gives us an advantage over most teams that we play against. My message last week was more, that's not an advantage in the playoffs. Every team plays desperate in the playoffs, so be ready for that and understand that when you're going against people.
As 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan there as we get you ready for the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks. The second time in 3 weeks, third time this year that these two teams are facing off 1-1 against each other, two opposite ends of the season, week 1, week 18, and now a trip to the NFC Championship on the line. Here to talk about it, Todd Husack has been a part of our pre- and post-game coverage of 49er football all season long. Former quarterback in the NFL. Todd joins us on the UMA guest line. What's up, Todd? How you doing, bro?
I'm fired up, literally and figuratively. Got the grill going and got some buddies coming over to watch the game and coach my daughter's fourth grade basketball. There are a ton of 49ers jerseys and sweatshirts and hats. I mean, you can feel the energy for this one. A couple buddies have mentioned, like, man, this almost feels like a Super Bowl or NFC champion. Like you can tell this game feels a little different than I think other second-round playoff games. So. We'll see if they can keep the mojo and keep it rolling.
All right, Todd, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the game, what's on the grill? Give us the rundown. What are you cooking up?
I got went to Costco this morning. I got 3 racks of baby back ribs in the oven right now, low and slow for about 3.5 hours, and then I finish them on the grill with some barbecue sauce. Then I got 4 big New York strip steaks. So
yeah, no sides. I'll meet at the Husack house.
My guests will be well fed.
Boy, Todd Husack with us on the UMA guest line. Todd, I'll ask you from a quarterback standpoint, not really about what the potential of a compromised Sam Darnold means, but what is an oblique like? I mean, he says it's on his opposite side of his throwing side. It's on his left side. How big of a deal is this? Did you ever deal with this, and what does it hinder when you're out there playing?
I didn't have great obliques, so when you don't have big muscles, it's hard to pull them. But I did. I pulled some rib cartilage on my side, and it's not throwing isn't arm. It's not just arm. It's your whole core. And when you twist and turn your body to the torque and get the upper body through the throw, it's important. And I'm curious to see. I don't know if they've said if he's going to get a shot or something to help with pain tolerance, but it is important. And certainly when you pull that side, even if it's his left side, you pull and use that side to rip through and pull your back shoulder through the throw. So if there's some soreness or it's not as strong as if he's not 100% there, that absolutely could impact his ability to throw and throw accurately and certainly throw the deep ball.
Do you think that would change the 49ers game plan at all to basically make him prove that he can make some certain throws, selling out more against the run? Obviously, Seattle ran it well a couple of weeks ago. We were up there in the box, and they had some big holes and some big cutback lanes to get to in the running game. Do you really sell out to stop that and make Darnold prove that he can make the throws if he is a little bit banged up?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think if I'm the Seahawks and I watch what the Eagles did last week and certainly what the Seahawks did 2 weeks ago, I'm going to run the ball 50 times. I mean, even with a healthy Sam Darnold, I think that's where you can get after this 49ers front. Now, the 49ers did play much better in the second half against the Eagles. They limited yards after contact, and there weren't those big run lanes. But I thought the Eagles got way too impatient. Every time Jalen Hurts dropped back to throw, I was feeling better about it than if they ran that read option or got the ball to Saquon Barkley. I think the Seahawks are a much better coach team. I think they're a much more disciplined team. I would expect a lot of running from them today. Shorten the game, score a couple touchdowns, and try to get out of there with a win. That's what I would expect. And then maybe take some shots to JSN or mix the ball around. But certainly with a sore Sam Darnold or not 100% Sam Darnold, maybe it even – so to your point, yes, I would expect them to run the ball, so we'll see what Robert Saleh has. And really the second half, they weren't playing 8 guys in the box or 9 guys in the box. They were playing a little softer but coming downhill on the snap, making the stops. They tackled great in the open field, and then a lot of it was just the front four beating their blocks, shedding the blocks, getting in the open space and making the tackle for a 1 or 2 yard loss sometimes, but it's certainly a 2 yard gain rather than a 6 yard gain, which the Eagles were getting in the first half. So the front seven has to be sharp. They have to be active. And then those safeties have to come down and make some stops. If they're going to play 7 or 8 yards past it, behind the line of scrimmage, run downhill, that's what Mustafa does best. Although we'll see how they play the safeties in the secondary, but they have to tackle well in space and not cheat inside. That was a big Saquon Barkley run a week ago. Corner comes down or safety comes down, cheats inside, loses eyes, and loses leverage and loses contain, and they get to the outside. So fit your gaps and tackle well in space.
Todd, how do you view what Brock has to do in this game? I mean, I was saying to JD earlier, one of his greatest assets, and I think one of my favorite skills about him is the intangible, and maybe it is tangible, that he just doesn't get rattled. I mean, last week he throws the 2 interceptions. Quinyon Mitchell didn't have one all year. He throws one the first drive out of the half, and then he throws another one after Juwan Jennings. I think people forget he'd thrown that touchdown to McCaffrey. Niners take the lead. Brock comes back and throws another interception. They're up 17-16. But after that, he puts together the longest drive, the 10-play drive that comes down, another fourth-quarter game-winning drive, fourth of his career in the playoffs. What about Brock today is the most important thing for him? I mean, turning the ball over is not something you can get away with and continue to lose that battle and win in the playoffs. But in terms of how he's handled adversity and his poise when he's made mistakes, how big of a deal is that for him today?
Well, if you were to say they're going to lose the turnover battle 2-0 and get outrushed almost 2-1, and they're still going to win, like that doesn't happen very often. And so you always say limit your mistakes, but I think what you have now with Brock, his data set it's big enough now. Like, we trust, the fans should trust Brock Purdy. The coaches absolutely trust Brock Purdy, but I think more so than that, his teammates, and he trusts himself. Like, hey, I've got this, and it's not going to be perfect, and I might make a mistake, but guess what? I got the next one, and the next 5, and the next 10, and that's the way he plays. He's gonna take a shot when it's there, and he's gonna make the right decision. I think he has shown consistently that he will make the right decision, put the ball where it's supposed to be, and yeah, he floated that second interception. He just floated it. And the first interception, he got his eyes off the first read too quickly, tried to come down and threw it a little behind. And but I think for the most part, he is going to make the right decision. He reads the defense very well, and his arm talent is as he doesn't zip it like maybe a Caleb Williams or a Josh Allen, where they just have that incredible arm ability from different angles. And even Bo Nix. I'm watching Bo Nix. Man, he throws a good ball. But Brock can drive it.
You're just throwing right now. I think you're watching Brock, what I was watching. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Brock has a strong arm, and he can get the ball up from the right hash to the left sideline, 30 yards down the field. We've seen him do it the last few weeks. So he can make all the throws, and he trusts himself and he's comfortable enough in this offense where even if they get off track and they got a 3rd and 13, or he does throw an interception, let's limit those today, but I think he trusts his ability and his role in this offense, and he knows it so well that he's gonna make the next 5 throws. And so I think he needs to be sharp, especially early on. Try not to take too many sacks. That was the game 2 weeks ago. That front four collapsed the pocket, and it wasn't even so much the edge; it was up the middle. So if the 49ers can maintain the A and B gaps from that pass rush and allow Brock to step up if needed. And we've seen him run a little bit more the last few weeks. He's been more active. I think that foot is 100%. And so can he continue to make the right decisions and maybe make some plays with his legs? But a lot of the game will come down to him. I would expect it's going to be tough to run the ball today. So can Brock make enough plays with his 49er offense to put up 3 touchdowns?
How much can Ricky Pearsall positively impact things? We were just talking to Maiocco. He thinks he's going to play. It's trending that way. Even if he's less than 100%, how much is just his presence going to have an impact on what the 49ers can do on offense?
Yes, he's the one guy that can win on the outside, or has shown the ability to win on the outside. I think we saw the long passing plays we saw at DeMarcus Robinson last week, and we've seen Juwan Jennings. A lot of those are just second-level throws, in-breaking routes where they're hit in stride and can run away from the defenders. Pearsall's the one guy, we saw it in week 1, all the way back in week 1, where he was down the sideline and Brock threw it on. That was one of Brock's best throws of the season. He puts it on the money about 45 yards down the field, and Pearsall's able to go up and make the catch. So he's a threat. I think you're right. He's at least a threat. And if it's one-on-one coverage down the field, I think Brock, they haven't worked a ton together. That's the frustrating part. Pearsall just hasn't been out there enough to really get a good feel with Brock Purdy. But what we saw in the preseason and then what we've seen when Pearsall's been out there, they are on the same page. And so I think he might be the one guy that Brock feels good about giving a 50-50 ball down the field, because Ricky can either go up and get it, he's strong enough to use his body, or he's going to bat it down. So I think he can be an impact player for this offense, and at the very least, he's a decoy.
Todd Husack, the voice you hear on the UMA Guest Line, part of our pre- and post-game coverage of 49er football all season long right here on the Sports Leader. Todd, enjoy the steaks, enjoy the ribs, enjoy the game, and we'll catch up with you in the post.
Can't wait. Let's go.
All right, good deal there. The great Todd Husack, Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for divisional weekend play. The Niners and the Seattle Seahawks coming your way at 5 o'clock this evening. Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan will be on the call, and we'll go up to the broadcast booth, and we'll talk to Guy Haberman in just a little while, get his thoughts on how the Niners find victory in this one. When we come on back, Larry Krueger, who's also up here in Seattle getting ready for this one. No Kruegless in Seattle, as Derek put it yesterday. We got Krug in Seattle. He'll join us next. We'll pick his brain about how the Niners get a victory here. Is Krug confident about this one? We need a Krug mood on a Saturday evening. Niners and the Seahawks, divisional round play on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for the Niners and the Seahawks. A rivalry renewed, divisional round play, and a date to the NFC Championship is on the line. It's time now to build the game plan. Sponsored by Golden State. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit us today at goldenstatelumber.com and by River Islands. Come home to River Islands in Lathrop and discover the San Joaquin River lifestyle with its lakes, parks, and schools. Start your tour today at riverislands.com. We are joined in booth. How about this? I didn't know he was coming right here. Thought we were going to talk to him a little bit later. We're on the phone. It's the great Larry Krueger. What's up, Krug, in Seattle, dude?
Well, it's great to see you guys.
Yeah, you too, man.
JD, great to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, man, how you guys feeling? Nice stadium, beautiful stadium.
It's a beautiful stadium. It's a beautiful day. It's chilly, but there's no. It's like cool out. It's kind of San Francisco weathery, right? No clouds in the sky, but we got like high 40s, low 50s, and I think it's going to cool off just a bit. But it should be pretty good conditions and no real wind. It seems like down on the field, which is different than last week.
No, this is not going to be a weather impacted game in any way, shape, or form. It's a perfect day for football, and it's a fast surface and two teams that don't like each other. I do think we may see these teams kind of bump and grind a little bit on each other in the pregame.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bump and grind.
Yeah, just keep it off the Seahawk, which is now.
I mean, somebody's body could be calling.
Yeah,
you know?
dude, right. Yeah, I know. I got you, dude. But so I mean, do you think this is a game? Let me phrase it this way: do you think the Niners can win a game in the manner they won it last week? Because statistically, they really weren't in it till late last week, and they lost a lot of key categories.
Yeah, I mean. If the 49ers are going to win this, it's going to be grimy. You know, it's going to be playoff football. We're watching playoff football right now in front of us, kind of a grimy game between Buffalo and Denver. So, you know, I just think it's going to be a grimy game. I think it's going to be, you know, Seattle's defense is overwhelming. I can't imagine that the 49ers can drive the length of the field against this defense consistently throughout the day. So they're going to need big plays. And how do you get them? I think you get them by design from Shanahan, maybe some speed from Pearsall, maybe a Sky Moore. We'll see, you know, how they can. I think it's let it all hang out. The same way you saw some incredible creative plays last week, I think you're going to see more of that tonight.
Well, let's stick with the offensive side of the ball for the 49ers. We can get to the defense. But what, going back from the game 2 weeks ago, that the Niners weren't able to do? I know they didn't run a lot of plays in the first half. They were playing from behind. But what, as the game went on, did you feel opened up for them? What was different about what Seattle did maybe compared to what they typically do defensively? And what do you think the adjustment is for the 49ers going from 2 weeks ago to tonight?
You know, they played kind of like a 4-2 or 4-2 front. They kind of stayed in their nickel most of the day, and they kind of dared the 49ers to run, and they just basically said, you can't run against our light boxes. And the Niners eventually, you know, got tired of trying and started to mix in some passes, and they got a little rhythm offensively, but they had that key turnover at the end. I mean, it was a very close ball game. The 49ers could have won that game. There were a couple bad bounces. You know, Yatir Gross-Matos didn't pick up a fumble, that kind of thing. But it's. I think Seattle in this game has the element of surprise because they did dominate the 49ers last week, doing that, or 2 weeks ago, doing that, and just basically putting those two safeties in center field and just saying, you know, we kind of dare you to operate underneath, and then rallying super aggressively. I felt like there was no run after catch. To me, that's the stat to look for tonight. Yeah. The Niners got great run after the catch, like 140 yards against Philly. They got virtually none in Week 18 against the Seattle team. They're going to need some today on this fast surface to win the game.
Krug, how do they deploy McCaffrey without George Kittle? Is it similar to what we saw early in the year where he was so big for them in the pass game where it wasn't necessarily effective running, it was just getting him touches, whether it was in the slot, whether they were little bubble screens or just little short crossing patterns over the middle? How do they get him involved today like they did in the second half in the pass game last week?
Well, he's the ultimate weapon, and you know he's so good on those routes within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, and you're going to have to get rid of it quick. But I think it's the angles that really to look for. You know, I think fewer east-west angles and a little bit more north-south, and see if you can hit him on a seam. Because to me, when you have a defense that has this much speed, you're just kind of looking to see if you can create a little bit of hesitation, a little bit of space, maybe with some play design, maybe with some pre-snap motion, and then boom, you hit a seam between the defense and you get a big play. So I think that's what I'm going to be looking for. Can they get McCaffrey on a big pass play down one of the seams?
All right, let's flip it to the other side of the ball. 49ers on defense going up against Seattle's offense. A lot of running lanes, a lot of cutback lanes for Seattle early in the game, massive holes to get to. How do the 49ers slow it down in terms of the running game? Poor tackling was as big an issue as those running lanes that we're talking about, but it is going to be a different linebacking core for the Niners in this game compared to that one.
Yeah, I mean, if this is like Week 18, then the Niners are going home. I mean, it's just really that simple. Charbonnet ran 4.7 in between the tackles. K9 ran like 4.9 a carry outside the tackles. They gashed the Niners for like 6 yards a carry in the first half of the game. But that Niner team is not this Niner team. That Niner team had Brown and Tatum Bethune and D. Winters, who were all banged up and falling off tackles, and they missed a lot of tackles. They missed 17 tackles that night. Now you've replaced them with a healthier Winters or Wallow, Kendricks, the veteran, who's also healthy and fresh, and maybe most importantly, Marquis Siegel. I thought if there was one great thing that happened last week, it was the emergence of Siegel, because he is a really talented player with 4.3 speed, great instincts, and he will hit. He's strong in the run game, and he's got speed to cover. So
you prefer him over Jair Brown, don't you?
I do. I also think I think the numbers don't really reveal the player that he is. I think the personnel people see that Siegel's a converted corner who can cover the deep middle, almost like the Niners version of Earl Thomas. But I think the numbers say he's been better against the run, and he's a thumper. But I actually think long-term, Mustafa in the box and Siegel in the middle is probably the best tandem.
Is there anything, JD brought this up earlier, is there anything that Kyle might have seen from the Rams in Week 16 against Seattle that they can exploit offensively?
Well,
because they ran it really well. Like, they ran it 24 times the first half of that game. The Niners aren't going to do that.
Kyle is such a master at noticing just nuance, nuances to things. And he's so good. There was a great soundbite from earlier today. You guys might have heard it from Equanimous St. Brown.
Yeah, about Kyle and how he finds the weak spot in a defense.
Yeah, how he's so
finds
good
their
at
rules.
finding
Exactly. He said defenses have rules.
He watches the film and then discerns what their rules are.
Because you can't get everything. You can't cover everything.
Too many plays.
And then devises, I'm sure, plays and sequences and route patterns and depths and that kind of thing that really challenge the defense's rules. And that moment of indecision is really all you're looking for in a game like this. Niners Seahawks, they don't like each other. It's going to be hard hitting. It's going to be physical. There's going to be jawing. This is going to be a backyard brawl. I think this is going to be a very, very hard fought football game.
Any concern for you that the Niners might just be out of gas? Because that's the one thing I keep coming back to. At some point, 3 of the last 4 games, the short week, an emotional win in Philadelphia on Sunday that really in many ways
nature of it all,
validated everything that the team had accomplished in the run that they got on to get to the playoffs. That's really my only concern. To me, if they're not at a point where they're just gassed and don't have it, then I think they can absolutely compete and win this game. But what's your fear level maybe on that front?
Well, it's a great question. In some ways, it's the ultimate question, right? Niners are coming off of multiple short weeks back to back.
Because we see it with teams in the playoffs. Sometimes a good team is just spent.
Right. And then there's also the reality of this year, which is this has been a positive year no matter what happens tonight. Now, I hate that kind of mentality. Niner fans hate that kind of mentality. I said it when I got on the plane. I'm like, hey, the 49ers show up to win, So, and all these Niner fans that are going to pack this house tonight are here to see their team win. And when you have 5 Lombardi trophies in the trophy case, losing in the divisional round to the Seahawks is not on your bingo card. You know what I mean? So there's a reality that they've had so much adversity, and no matter what happens, it's a positive. And you're right, JD, at some point they may run out of gas. They may just run out of talent. My biggest fear in this game is that Darnold can complete that 20-yard out pattern or in cut to JSN at will, and that the Niner linebackers on what I would call a very fast surface in good conditions may not be able to stand up in pass coverage to Barner and some of the backs out of the backfield. That's my concern. But you know what? 49ers do have a ton of heart, and all the pressure is on Seattle. And once again, I think it's about just like last week in Philly, it's about the start. If you get off to a good start, I think you rock them on their heels. They're questioning themselves. This is Michael McDonald's first playoff game. Sam Darnold has never won a playoff game, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he played poorly at the end of last year. I think if the Niners get off to a good start, Seattle could feel the weight of the 1 seed and the rest and the expectations, and it could be a big Niner night.
Time now for our Player to Bank On, sponsored by Casino Matrix. Just drop in for gaming, dining, sports. Please gamble responsibly. 1-800-GAMBLER and by Pacific Service Credit Union. Earn a $400 cash bonus for opening an account and setting up direct deposit of $500 or more. Sign up at pacificservice.org/my400. Krug, if the Niners are to find victory today, who's the guy?
Well, there's got to be more than one guy, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
it's gonna take
Gotta
a
be more
village,
than one guy.
Who are you banking on today?
But you know who I really like in this game? The windows with a defense that has the kind of speed that Seattle possesses on all 3 levels, the windows are tight. When you have tight windows, you got to rely on the guys who have the top shelf ball skills. Jake Tonjes has got great ball skills. They don't really think much of Jake Tonjes. We know that he's got great ball skills.
Sure.
I think a steady diet to Tonjes. I would say 6-7 catches for Tonjes for 65, 75 yards and maybe a touchdown. Maybe gets the Niners over tonight.
I've asked everybody this question. I want to get your take on it.
No, I will not sing karaoke.
If maybe later.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
Not last night, but maybe tonight. Ricky Pearsall, the impact that Pearsall can have as somebody that can get open in those spaces. What do you think he's going to go? Maiocco thinks he's going to give it a shot. It's been trending toward that. But how impactful can Ricky Pearsall be in this matchup?
Well, JD, he could be hugely impactful. I mean, Brock Purdy is going, as we said, there's tons of space. Seattle's so fast, and they're going to close all this space. So how are you going to get guys open? You're only going to get guys open through play design or speed. Ricky's your only guy that runs 4-4. And he also has great chemistry with Brock, and Brock can throw those anticipatory throws and throw it to the void. And I would imagine you're going to see Brock to Ricky on multiple corner routes for big plays, 18 to 25 yards. I think he's absolutely huge. Otherwise, I don't know where the big plays are coming from. I mean, I mentioned Jacob Cowing. Kyle mentioned that he could be a game-time decision of the inactives out. I don't know, but I'm interested to see if Cowing's
About 15 minutes probably.
Yeah, and actives coming in about 3:40, I think, for an official 5:10 kickoff. But just what's your concern level on just how close to 100% he is?
Oh, I don't think he is anywhere close to 100%.
Okay.
But it's about pain tolerance, and I'm sure he wants to get out there. He could have a big play in this game and then take a tough hit on that thing and go down. Shanahan was asked, is he on a pitch count? Shanahan's like, no. Are you kidding me? This is a playoff game. If you're suited up, we need you, and there will be no pitch counts for anybody.
Larry Krueger, the voice you hear, Niners Nightly, weeknight 6 to 7 on the Sports Leader and wherever you get your Krug on any platform. Krug, enjoy the game, man. We'll see you over in the booth.
Sounds good.
Talk to you in the postgame. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks. By the way, the Broncos and Bills have kicked off the second half, and it looks like Josh Allen just fumbled. Broncos recover. It's 20-10 right now. Broncos over the Bills. 14:08 to play in the third quarter. So they've just started it.
Again,
Broncos
he fumbled right before the
He
half.
fumbled right before the half as well on a run out of bounds, and it's 20-10 now in favor of Denver. We're going to go up to the broadcast booth in just a bit, check in with our guy Haberman, who will be on the call alongside Tim Ryan this evening for a 5 o'clock kick. Niners and the Seattle Seahawks, a date with the NFC Championship. And who knows who it could be, another NFC West opponent. Could be the Bears. That game gets going tomorrow, the Rams and Chicago. More to come from Lumen Field. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, getting ready for the Niners and the Seahawks from Lumen Field, the divisional round game here. The winner goes to the NFC Championship. As we are keeping an eye on the field because the report on Thursday about Sam Darnold and his oblique was that he was going to get some rest and he got some treatment on Thursday, felt it on a throw on his left side, said he thought it was close to a 0% chance he'd miss the game. Adam Schefter reported this morning that he'd not thrown a ball since he got hurt on Thursday. JD and I are looking out at the field now and trying to get a look for Sam Darnold. We saw Jalen Milroe out there making some throws. He's out there right now. I can see Drew Lock out there making throws. I have yet to see Sam Darnold on the field, certainly not a part of these throwing warm-ups. Now, they don't have to give the actives and inactives until 30 minutes before kickoff. Today, that would be official about 5:10, so a 3:40 potential kick.
And I guess he was out early.
He was out earlier. Okay,
early. So 2 hours ago early. Like before the early warm-up that's going on
before we
now.
got on the air here at 2 o'clock.
Exactly. Yeah. So the interesting thing is maybe that is taking the place of what would be the normal warm-up where the three quarterbacks would come out and get after it together. 3:40 is when the inactives will be officially released. This is going to be a 5:10 Pacific time kickoff, so 90 minutes before that the inactives get released. But it just – I was starting to think, hey, he was off the injury report and then he was on the injury report with the oblique on Thursday, which was the last day, and they have to give a designation. Hey, popped up, questionable. And it just kind of made me wonder, as you watch Darnold not out there now going through the normal quarterback pregame warm-up, even if he did it a couple hours ago, and it kind of makes me say, well, wait a minute. Are they doing a little pump fake where maybe he's going to be out and Drew Lock's going to be the guy?
Well, what's the significance of having him come? I mean, I get the significance of having him come out and try it out a couple hours
with nobody
before.
watching, basically, in the stadium.
And so nobody's seeing you throw, nobody knows what you're looking like and how hurt you are, and you're not giving anything away, I guess, and you're seeing if he can make the throws that you need him to make to operate this offense today. But if he's not back out warming up now, what does that tell you? I mean, he's not warm 2 hours ago for the game. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no question.
Like he would have to get re-warmed up, so I'm a little perplexed as to what the situation is here, seeing as he came out a couple hours ago, got loose or gave it a go, and there is video of that, but we're now not seeing him out there yet. We're seeing Jalen Milroe and Drew Lock. Milroe was acting as the 3 or serving as the 3, and I actually thought we'd see more of him this year.
Well, and you know what? I'm doing a deep dive here. That video was not from today. I just did a deep dive.
So there you go. So we have
that.
not seen Sam Darnold on the field yet today, and so JD, your point.
I'm sleuthing through it now.
So JD's sort of conspiracy theory here is potentially maybe they were playing a game the whole time where Sam Darnold was not healthy enough to go in this game with that oblique.
Don't say. Then put him on the injury report so you don't get fined at the end. Say that it popped up. Well, maybe Lock.
You don't have to in the off week. There's no practice report that has to come out.
No, but you do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He wasn't on it until Thursday. But again, he could have been out there and look at. Again, I don't want to go full conspiracy on how that led to this point. But what I'm getting at is, it's starting to make me wonder if maybe he's not playing in this game, and nobody really knows it yet.
Considering he hasn't come out with the other quarterbacks to warm up here, and you said somebody reported he was out there throwing earlier, but we
sussed through the video, and it was not a video from today.
So we've yet to see Sam Darnold on the field yet before this one. Again, the report is that he's going to start. That's per Adam Schefter, and none of that has to be official until 90 minutes before game time, which will be about 15 minutes from now. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you from Lumen Field. How much does this change if, in fact, it is Drew Lock instead of Sam Darnold? I mean, the Niners then don't – I mean, you're playing a backup quarterback. You're playing a guy who hasn't started a game in a lot of time here. You can't feel great if you're Seattle. But, again, this comes down, I think, a lot to the Niners being able to stop the run of the Seahawks. Can Drew Lock operate enough even against this banged-up Niner DJD?
I think so much of – going into this game, I actually think it would not be a major advantage on paper for the Niners coming in, because so much of this game, especially if the Seahawks have been preparing for it, but I think so much of the Niners' ability to win this game on paper is Darnold's inability to perform in the big moments, right? And so that would be wiped away. So we would all say, oh, yeah, backup quarterback, Drew Lock this, Drew Lock that. He is somebody that's been around and been in their system, and at times has played well when he's gotten opportunities with the Seahawks. So, again, I wouldn't, if it does go down that road, and again, we'll keep everybody updated at 3:40 with how things shake out, or if there is some news that breaks here coming up. But I think the Seahawks would probably feel pretty comfortable to be honest, if he wound up being the guy.
It would not be the preference, but you're saying you think they'd still be comfortable. Would it make 49er fans more confident?
It probably would.
I think Niner fans would feel better about it. I'd also then wonder what happens in short red zone situations. Do you see any Milrow? Do you see any Wildcat, anything like that? I kind of thought coming into this year we'd see some of that anyway, but that has not been the case to this point. After they gave Sam Darnold a contract, they won 14 games. They've got the number 1 seed, and they host the Niners coming up at 5 o'clock. That's what's on deck, sponsored by TimberTech Decking and Railing, number 1 in premium decking. Order free samples at timbertech.com. We've seen Milrow on the field. We've seen Drew Lock on the field. We await Sam Darnold. Guy Haberman is going to join us next. He's on the call for the Niners and the Seahawks with Tim Ryan tonight at 5 o'clock. He'll break this one down with us next on the Sports Leader.
Sound right, boys. Sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Getting ready for the divisional round, the Niners and the Seahawks from Lumen Field. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you, and here to talk about it all, it's Guy Haberman. He'll be on the call tonight, 5 o'clock with Tim Ryan for the Niners in Seattle. Guy, do you know which quarterback you'll be calling for Seattle today?
Well, I was on the field week 18 because Greg was in the booth that day,
right.
And I watched the Seattle quarterbacks warm up before the game, and they all three came out together that day. That was not the case today. That was no Sam Darnold in sight. So that is I would say, pretty indicative that he is not starting this game today. That's just me watching those guys. Now, could he be hiding somewhere? Sure. But what would be the point of that?
And if they don't want him throwing, which they didn't want him throwing a couple of days ago, then what's the point in coming out and letting everybody get a look at what you can or you can't do?
Right. Yeah,
so that is the flip side to it, but it's kind of made
he's throwing in the cage, you think?
He's in the tunnel.
He's in the tunnel. He's in the tunnel chucking it around.
Hitting some off the tee.
Behind the tee, exactly. Behind the dugout down there.
So, I mean, it's made me wonder. We'll see. Again, we're going to find out here in about 9 minutes when the inactives come out. Or maybe we don't. Maybe he is up, but then ultimately isn't starting. That's also a plausible scenario as well. They could have 3 quarterbacks up if they wanted to do that. So we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, Guy. Aside from that, at this point, what's your take on just where Darnold is? And we were kind of having the debate before you came on. Darnold versus Locke. Most people would rather see Locke. But how would you kind of view the good and bad if it did change here last minute?
Yeah, I mean, I look, Darnold. I thought last meeting, it almost slipped out of their fingers, right, when they fumbled that ball and Yeturgos Matos couldn't fall on it, but they ran the ball so well. I think you'd have to say if you were going to choose one or the other to face, you would choose Drew Lock. I mean, just give it his – Darnold is a good player. Darnold's a good quarterback. You know him, yes. You faced him, yes. He turns the ball over, yes. No question. But we're talking about a guy that hasn't started a game in a couple of years.
We do have the actives.
Darnold is up. He's
Darnold's
active.
active.
Darnold is active.
And Milroe is inactive, correct?
Milroe on the 53.
Jalen Milroe is inactive.
He's not the emergency third quarterback.
He would be. He would be.
He's on the 53-man roster.
Yep.
Correct.
But he's the emergency third quarterback.
Correct. So he could only play if injury to the other two, and
then the other two can't play once
back.
he comes in. Yeah.
Got
so
it.
that makes
the Milroe packages are gone.
The Milroe, which they tried early and it didn't work. Yeah. So no biggie for them. But you're saying, JD, you could start Locke and have Darnold as your second, as your backup only because he can't
could play.
Really go?
He could play if in an emergency, and you'd rather have him than Milroe at that point. So again, it looks like for all of the speculation. And again, this is coming because Sam Darnold has not come out, Copes, for
still hasn't been out onto the field.
Pregame warm-up, but he is in fact active for Seattle. We'll see if there's any news here in the next 90 minutes.
Guy, what did you see last week, or is there anything from last week that leads you to believe not that they can win this game, but that there's something that is repeatable skill-wise? I mean, I know we comped a little bit of Seattle Week 18 to the Philly defense last week. I didn't totally see that. I think Seattle's a much better defense. I think they're faster. I think they're more dangerous at stopping the run than even the Eagles were all year. Is there anything you saw from the Niners last week that gives you confidence offensively coming into this one?
Well, the return of Trent, not having him Week 18, having him in the playoff game, I thought was a big deal. I thought, Seattle, with the different, one of the things, I think physically is where you kind of get the comparison Seattle to Philadelphia.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Schematically, they're very different, right? Seattle moves around so much. I do think the Clint Kubiak being on the Seattle staff, that helps. They've done, you go back to the Ravens game, they've done a very good job. Mike McDonald against Kyle Shanahan against 4 games. Shanahan's averaging 18 points per game against Mike McDonald. That's the lowest of the 16 coaches that Kyle has faced 3 times or more.
Wow.
Oh, did I get one Copes didn't have?
I was thinking Fangio was kind of in that boat last week, too.
Fangio was.
Yeah, he was one of those guys.
But he's not a head coach. But as a head coach.
As a head coach, gotcha.
And then having Ricky. Like, that to me is, if you go back, the difference, 2 major differences week 18 to today, having Ricky Pearsall and having Trent Williams.
And I was going to ask you about that while also noting that Ricky Pearsall is officially active, as expected, as the 49ers inactives have been released. We'll just run through them real quickly.
Please.
It's Isaac Guerrero, Jordan Watkins, Brandon Parker, Robert Beal Jr., Kevin Givens, Sebastian Valdez, and, of course, Jair Brown, who was ruled out as well. But I'll ask you the question I've asked everybody about Ricky. In what ways do you think he can be impactful, even if he is less than 100%?
Yeah, I mean, he gets open. He gets open and makes dynamic plays. He's explosive. He's fast. He's the guy whose speed you have to consider. And so he stretches the field. I think, the early JD, you go back to all those practices his rookie year watching him, and the big question was like, can this guy get open? And I thought it was just camp. But in camp, the answer was, yeah, he can get open. And that has proven to translate onto the field. So, it's very significant. The games that he's been healthy, he has impacted in a major way. He's their leading receiver when he plays in yards per game. This will be, his 10th game that he's played.
Yeah.
And That's a big deal.
At what percentage do you think he has to be, though, to be truly impactful? Just if you had to put a number on it.
I don't know. I would say this, like, what percentage was he after he went out of the Bears game? Because whatever that was, he didn't play the following 2 weeks.
So it should be better than
but
that.
But he was still really good.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
and it should be better than that.
Yeah, what percentage do they need to run?
Well, don't forget, he also got banged up.
That.
Even week 3, the same thing happened to him. Was it week 3 against Arizona where he made that catch up the right sideline, and then he kind of got banged up and then was also hurt, and then week 4, and he's just been in and out of the lineup. Krug says it's a pain tolerance thing for him, but I just think that the different element he's going to give you offensively that they didn't have the first time through, and I do think they've got to throw to McCaffrey more in this game than they did week 18. I think they'll have to.
That was kind of, they tried to, eventually they tried to get the quick passing game going in that game. Right. They couldn't get, you go 3 and out to start the game. They had 9 first downs in that game. They couldn't get anything going. I think that goes back to protection. And that's where having Trent back really helps.
In terms of stopping the run, D. Winters is going to be back today. He's not on the inactives. I think that's a huge positive. He and Kendricks is one of the more fresh bodies. He was great last week. How does he help the run game?
Yeah, led the team in tackles. I think dynamic. You don't want to make a mistake and let something break. You got to be disciplined. And that's where Eric Kendricks was so impressive, and Garrett Wallow was really impressive last week.
Surprisingly so, yeah.
I mean, so impressive.
Maybe not to you guys. I was surprised.
And maybe Luke Gifford. He was not. You did not read his name.
No, he's active as well.
That's a big deal too, from a special team standpoint.
Yeah.
So, the Niners haven't returned a kick for a touchdown in a long time. They haven't returned a punt for a touchdown in a long time.
Like
132 games on a kick and 265 on a punt. That's,
since the Bush administration, yeah.
14 years since a punt return for a touchdown and 7 years for a kick, and both were against Seattle.
There you
That's
go.
incredible. Yeah.
As far as the crowd noise and the atmosphere and everything, I know I've talked to Copes. I've covered a lot of games up here, and I go back even to the 2019 Sunday night game for the 1 seed.
Yeah, were you here for that?
Yeah, I was, and that was sort of the end of kind of that prior run with Russell Wilson and the like. It was nuts. It was a madhouse on that night. It felt as if, a lot of those games that the Niners had played in 12 and 13 and 14 in the Harbaugh era, when this place was, you couldn't win here, and nobody has when the Seahawks have been the 1 seed in the history of the stadium. They've gone to the Super Bowl each time they've been the 1 seed, winning their 2 games to get to the Super Bowl. I think tonight is going to be a different Lumen Field than the 49ers have experienced at 22, 23, 24, and 25. Do you think the Niners are prepared
it's interesting.
for that?
Maybe. I mean,
First home playoff game in 9 years.
I've always thought that you only do it for the first time once, and that when it happens, there's no crowd like it, and then it becomes mainstream and popular, and things just can't help but change. You think about like those early Warriors Oracle runs.
But there's a point where you're not as good, and then you're good again. And then
once you
back.
get a ring, it's like, does everybody? Can it ever? That's why Chicago's really interesting to me. Like, that's the point in time the Bears are in right now.
Yeah,
definitely.
Kids who have never experienced, and adults who have never experienced this type of run before, this type of magic. I mean, if you don't remember '85 Bears, this is totally magical to you.
I don't. So I don't know. I mean, look, this place is loud, and what are we really? Maybe we're splitting hairs. When you send out an email to your season ticket holders telling them not to sell tickets, that is never a good sign, and it never works.
Yeah.
So, like right now,
if anything, it tells you that they know it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Or believe it's going to be a problem.
That's why it's interesting right now. Like, there's a fair amount of red. Now, it's early, and,
Stadium's
if this is all the red
empty,
there is, it's not going to be enough to make it so Drew Lock or Sam Darnold has to cover their ears. Or I guess Sam Darnold has to cover his ears. But, like, that's an interesting element here. So I don't know, JD. I tend to think you can't ever get back to that first time again. But it doesn't mean it's still not a home field advantage. Of course it is. We were here week 1, and that was a big deal, and this is an even bigger deal for them.
I just look at it more from the standpoint of, I don't know that I've ever seen Brock phased, man. Like, I know he threw all those interceptions against the Ravens on Christmas, and they got the brakes beat off him that day. But his ability to put stuff behind him and not let noise in. I mean, he's 4-0 in Seattle, even in years where they're not the number 1 seed. It's tough to come here and win. He did it with an injured rib or oblique or whatever that was in his first Thursday night game in his first time in Seattle back in 2022. So for me, that's the best asset I think he can have, the accuracy and the poise to where the mistakes he makes and the external noise don't really affect Brock.
Yeah. I mean, no quarterbacks ever won 5 straight games here. And only Brock Purdy and Dan Fouts have won 4 straight games in Seattle.
Wow.
So Brock's the only one that's done it here.
Brock's the only one that's done it here. And I think, Copes, you're right. Even that Ravens game, I remember him, the reason he threw picks 3 and 4 is because he was still firing the ball.
Yeah, he kept coming. He was rocking it, yeah.
And last week was a great example, the 2 second-half interceptions that would rattle. So I agree with you. I mean, it is without a doubt one of the characteristics that sinks a guy, and Brock, he might throw a pick, he might make a mistake, he might get beat, but it's not going to be because he's so rattled that he can't compete. Now, it just might be loud, and you might need to use a timeout, or, they needed to use that timeout last week at the end of the first half against Philly, and it cost them a chance at 3 points. So, all that stuff can still come into play. But I'm with you. I mean, what a great – I'm just really excited to watch. When you have a young quarterback, I don't think there's anything better than watching that guy play in moments that can build a legacy.
Yeah.
It's just – I think that is like – Tim Lindsay coming a playoff game like that.
Division Series game 1, but
the
now you're
whole,
seeing
truly, the whole thing. The best thing to watch is that.
Is your guy building his legacy? And Brock, I mean, again, already 4 fourth-quarter comebacks, game-winning comebacks in the fourth quarter in the postseason, and he's only been around for a handful of years. So, Guy Haberman on the call with Tim Ryan today. Have a great call, Guy.
Didn't I talk to you guys last week? It's good luck.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
It must be good luck.
It must be good luck.
It must be great luck. We got Guy Haberman
We'll
with us again.
talk to
Guy
you in
and Tim
Chicago.
on the call. All right. Yeah, all right. We'll take a quick break. Adam Copeland, John Dickinson with you. Niners and the Seahawks from Lumen Field kicking off at 5 o'clock only here on the Sports Leader. Adam Copeland back with your 49er player spotlight ahead of the Niners and the Seahawks in divisional weekend here at Lumen Field, a 5 o'clock kick. The Niners, it's been talked about all year long how banged up their defense is. It's not just Fred Warner going down against the Bucs or Nick Bosa going down against Arizona. It's even Jair Brown last week with the hamstring against Philadelphia. It was D. Winters missing last week's game because of the ankle in Week 18 in the first half against Seattle. It was also the loss of Michael Williams, who was the first-round draft selection this year, was playing pretty well on the defensive line. He went down midseason with an Achilles injury, ACL injury. So the Niners had to turn to the free agent pool into other practice squads, and they found a veteran linebacker in Eric Kendricks, who played awesome last week for the 49ers. They don't win that game without Eric Kendricks and Garrett Wallow. Eric Kendricks, 7 tackles last week. He had 10 combined tackles, Wallow with 11. But really it was his communication. A guy who was not on the roster a month and a half ago helps this linebacking core into the postseason, and then to get a win on the road in a hostile environment in Philadelphia. Kyle Shanahan was asked how surprised he was that Eric Kendricks was ready to play at the level that he was once they signed him.
You knew he had a chance to because of the style of how he played. He wasn't a guy that, he was always so talented. I think he was a first-round pick. Pretty sure he was. So obviously he was talented. But when you watched him over the decade, it wasn't that you were just always noticing just height, weight, and speed. You're noticing how good of a football player he was. And when someone doesn't have a training camp, doesn't have an off season, doesn't come to any place until week 12 or whatever it was, you'd be very shocked that they could pick it up. But the reason we wanted him is because of the style of the way he played. We thought if anyone could do it, he would have a chance to, and he did that right away. Now, when he had that setback in our bye week and tweaked his calf, it was like, oh yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's what happens. And I was surprised how he could come back from that and be able to be ready 2 weeks after that and be able to help us out and then pull out a whole game there last week.
Communication is going to be as key today as it was last week. Still weapons to pay attention to, a veteran in Cooper Kupp. Of course, you got A.J. Barner, who's done great down in the red zone, in the short red zone, especially, and Jackson Smith and Jigba, potentially this year's NFC Offensive Player of the Year. Kendricks will have his handful, but he'll also have D. Winters back, and if they can get through this one, there may be reinforcements next week with Fred Warner if the Niners are to make it to the NFC Championship game, and that's why Eric Kendricks is Divisional Weekend's 49er Player Spotlight. 49ers and the Seahawks coming your way, a 5 o'clock kick. The actives and inactives are out. Jordan Watkins out for the 49ers, as is Jair Brown, Isaac Guerrero, Robert Beal, Sebastian Valdez, Brandon Parker, Kevin Givens. Those are your inactives for the Niners, which means you got D. Winters back and you got Ricky Pearsall back. For the Seahawks, Sam Darnold active. Jalen Milroe is your emergency third quarterback. The inactives, Jared Ivey, Josh Jones, Bryce Cabaldu, I don't even know how to say that last name, Mason Richmond and Riley Mills. We'll take a quick break. We'll give you our final thoughts on this one as the Niners and the Seahawks are coming up in just over an hour, only here on the Sports Leader. From Lumen Field, Adam Copeland, John Dickinson getting you ready for the Niners and the Seahawks. We're getting ready to hand it over to Guy Haberman and Tim Ryan. They'll take you up to and through kickoff. I'll be back with you at halftime with your United Airlines halftime report. And then on the postgame show, we'll check in again with Todd Husack and Larry Krueger, and hopefully be talking about another game next week in the NFC Championship. But it's an uphill battle here for the Niners as Sam Darnold is active for this game. Drew Lock is serving as the backup. You've got the emergency third quarterback in Jalen Milroe. The Niners did get more healthy than the last time they saw Seattle as well. D. Winters does return. He got hurt in that game. You've also got Trent Williams there at left tackle. And Ricky Pearsall is back in this game as well. JD, time for the keys to the game, sponsored by your Bay Area Chevy dealers. Visit BayAreaChevroletDealers.com. Your keys to a 49er victory in this one, JD. Is it something simple or is it a layered effect?
They got to win in the trenches much more than they did in the game 2 weeks ago. They have to match and set a physicality tone, I think, up front. Beyond that, I don't think the 49ers can win this game unless they win the turnover battle or at least have it be even. And as you always point out, win on third down, which is get off the field and continue those drives. The drives which allow you to keep the running game actively involved in the game plan, which calls for the play action, and you can get some big plays down the field off of that.
Well, those two numbers, where the Niners are great on third down, the only team in the league over 50% conversion. They're number one at converting third downs offensively. Unstoppable force meets immovable object. The Seattle defense, number one in the league at stopping teams on third down, getting off the field at like 32% conversion again. So they've been really, really good. Something's got to give there. The Niners were very good in that category week one here, 50% at 7 of 14 in Seattle on third down, and then only 9 first downs in week 18. They just didn't run enough plays, so they've got to get something going early. Last week they were able to start fast, get that 61-yard gain from Demarcus Robinson, and get out to an early lead, and then try to hold serve, but it was a little bit of a back and forth. They want to drudge this one up a little bit. This isn't going to be a shootout, I don't think, like you saw week 16 with the Rams and the Seahawks. I do think also it's a game where Christian McCaffrey, like in the middle parts and early parts of the year without George Kittle, has got to be active in the pass game. Thanks to all of our guests who stopped by. Matt Maiocco, our 49ers insider from NBC Sports Bay Area. We talked to Todd Husack, Larry Krueger, and, of course, Guy Haberman, who will be on the call with Tim Ryan coming up here in just a few minutes. Just a quick check of the other divisional game going on in Denver right now. Denver up 23-17 right now, 13.5 to play in the game as Buffalo is in the red zone at
4 turnovers for Buffalo,
7th.
and they're still right there.
And they're 4 turnovers, and they're in it. Josh Allen is Superman. All right, we'll get ready for a rivalry renewed divisional weekend. It's the Niners and the Seattle Seahawks from Lumen Field. It's all coming up only here